So in this video, I want to show you how you can create a virtual environment with a different version of Python, right? So this is necessitated by the fact that sometimes the Python that is in your global environment might not be compatible with certain libraries that you want to use for your projects. For instance, let me show you what I'm talking about. And so I want to check the Python version that I have. You need to say Python -- version. Or Python 3 -- version, and so it gives you the version of Python. And so this is 3.11.0. and so if I try to install pip install pygame, and so I want to install this pygame so that I can start making games in Python. And so I want to install this using this version. Okay, this is the version that is working currently on my computer, and that's the only version that I have running on my computer. And so if I am to try and install this, you'll see what happens. Okay, it's going to try and install Pygame, but version 3.11 is not compatible with Pygame. So I have to find another version of Python which is lower than 3.11. I think 3.9 would be okay. Encountered error while generating package metadata. See above for output. And so this is not compatible, I know. All right, so if I clear screen right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you steps that you have to take so that you can use two versions of Python on your computer. 3.11 is going to remain the Python that I'm going to be using for things that I want to do on my computer. It's the one that is in my global environment. By the way, I could just uninstall Python 3.11 and install a lower version, but I don't want to do that because I already have some projects that are using 3.11, so I don't want to lose 3.11. I still want 3.11 on my computer, but I also want another version to handle those packages that are not compatible with the latest version of Python. And so the first thing we have to do is, let me go to python.org here. So you can go to this website, python.org/downloads, and you want to look for the version that you want to download. You can scroll down here. So scroll down here. Here you can see the versions that you can download. So I want to download 3.9. I think it's going to be okay. Let me look for 3.9.8. This one. This could be okay. If I click this one, it's going to take me to a window where I can download this one. And so I'm going to scroll down, and so you can see the files that you can download here. I'm on Windows, and so I'm going to download this one, Windows Installer 64-bit, which is recommended. You can see down here. So if you're on a Mac, you can have this one. And so I'm going to click Windows Installer here, and so it's going to download 3.9.8. Okay, so it looks like we have successfully downloaded this Python version. And so we want to locate this installer. And so I'm going to come here on the arrow, click on show in folder, or we can go up here on these three dots, go to downloads here, click on downloads, and you can see this is first on the list, and then we can click on show in folder. And so it's going to take us to the folder where it has been downloaded. Okay, so now we're going to run the installation of this version 3.9.8. So I'm going to double click on this. All right, so this is the window that you are presented with. And so if it's your first time installing Python, you need to select this box which says add Python 3.9 to path. So whatever version you have, it could be 3.9, 3.10, you will say add Python 3. something to path. But for me, it's my second installation. I already have another version that is running on my computer, so I don't need to select this. Okay, I already have Python on my path, and so I don't need this. And so I want to run this, install now. So I'm going to click here, installation. So we're going to run through the installation. And so so here setup was successful, so I can close this. All right, so if I go back to my Windows terminal here, if I type in Python, because we did not add it to path, we have 3.11. That is the one that we are running. This is okay. The next thing that we need to do is we need to install a package. It's an external package called virtualenv. So we're going to say pip install virtualenv. This is a package that we can use to create virtual environments. In our previous tutorial, we used a package that comes with the standard library. It's called virtualenv. This one allows us to create virtual environments, but it does not allow us to use a different version of Python. That's why we need to install this one. Pip install virtualenv, just like that. And if I press enter, it's going to run through the installation. Okay, so it looks like it has been successfully installed. And so what we're going to do is now we're going to create a virtual environment using Python 3.9. To create a virtual environment using virtualenv, you just have to write virtualenv and then -p if you want to use a different version of Python. If you don't want to use a different version of Python, you just write virtualenv, because we know we're running Python 3.11 because we are in the global environment. And so we could just say virtualenv and the name of the virtual environment that we want to create. However, if we want to use a different version of Python, of course, we have two versions of Python that are installed on our computer. Okay, so now we're going to use that virtual environment package to create a virtual environment, but using a different version of Python. We want to use version 3.9, and so we need to locate where that version 3.9 was installed on our computers. We also need to change to a directory where we want to create our project, and so this is what I'm going to do over here. So let me first go to my projects. Okay, so I'm going to come here, and in my D drive, I have projects here. And so I want to open the command prompt in here. And then we're going to create a new directory for our project. We're going to call it project 2, I think. So let me cmd here. So we're going to open the command prompt here. And I'm going to say PowerShell because we want to run in PowerShell. And so now we're running in PowerShell. And I'm going to make this bigger so that you guys can actually see. And so I'm going to close this other command terminal that was open. So I'm going to close this. And so now you can see we are in the D drive inside projects. We're going to make a directory here, project 2. Okay, so now we have a directory called project 2, and we're going to cd into project 2. And so this is where we're going to create our virtual environment. So we can still access that virtualenv because that virtualenv was installed in the global environment. And so now we can say virtualenv -p. And then here we want to pass in the path to the Python version 3.9. This is what we need. So we need to find that version. You can search Python and you see the versions, all the versions of Python that are installed on your computer. So you can see we have 3.9 and we have 3.11, right? We want these executables here. And so I'm going to right click and open file location, right? And so this is the Python shortcut. It's an executable. We want to right click this and then we want to go to properties. So properties, and you see shortcut. Okay, so make sure you're on shortcut, not on terminal. Shortcut. And you see this target here. This is the path to your Python executable. This is what you want to copy. So I'm going to copy this. And we no longer need this. So I'm going to close all this. And so here, in front of P, we want to press Control V, which means paste. We want to paste this path. I pasted this path. And so this is the path to my Python 3.9. It's in users, sets and updata, low code, programs, Python 3.9. And so once we have this, we want to name our virtual environment, of which I'm going to name it .venv. You can name it whatever you want. Okay, the moment I press enter, it's going to run through the installation. So we are creating a virtual environment using virtualenv. So you can see here it says created virtual environment. We have successfully created our virtual environment. So I'm going to clear screen here and we can go to project 2. Let me go to project 2 here. Project 2, if you open inside project 2, you can see this is our virtual environment. And so if you open it, similar to, we have lib now. Inside the lib we have side packages. It comes with pip, it comes setup tools, and this will, and then virtualenv, and then you also have scripts here. So this is what we're going to activate our environment, deactivate, run Python. If we want to run Python 3.9, we can just write Python. And then we have git ignore, and then we have this configuration this one, which is the configuration to our virtual environment. And so yeah, we have successfully created this virtual environment, and so now we can install Pygame in this virtual environment. But first up, we need to activate this virtual environment. Okay, so to activate, it's similar to what we did when we created our virtual environment using the venv library. So what we have to do inside here, we can say .venv, which is the name of our virtual environment, /, and then we can say scripts, and then / activate. I'm on a Windows machine. If you're on a Mac or Linux, it's completely different. And so if I press enter right now, you can see now we are in that particular virtual environment. You can see these parentheses. Inside these parentheses, you have the name of your virtual environment. And so this tells us that we are now working in that particular environment. And so if I say pip list, yeah, so it comes with pip, setup tools, and wheel. These are the 3 packages that come with this particular virtual environment. If you are on a Mac or on Linux, you should write source to activate your environment, and then you say .venv. This is the name of your virtual environment. In our case, this is the name of our virtual environment. And then you use /. You don't use /, and then you use /bin / activate like this. Pygame is not compatible with Python version 3.11, but inside here, if I say Python, I write in Python, you can see we are running 3.9, right? Yeah, this is inside the virtual environment. We're running version 3.9, and so we want to see whether the Python version is compatible with Pygame. And so I'm going to exit here. I'm going to exit from this interactive mode. So I'm going to clear screen over here. So now we can say pip install. So whatever package that we're installing in that particular virtual environment, which we just created, right? So we're going to say install Pygame. Press enter, and let's wait and see. I've successfully installed Pygame version 2.12 in the virtual environment. And so I can pip list now in this virtual environment. You can see now Pygame is part of the packages that are installed in this particular virtual environment. And so this is how you can install packages that are not compatible with a certain version of Python. All right, so finally, to deactivate our virtual environment, we just have to write deactivate, just like that. And then when you press enter, you can see the prefix, this venv is no longer here. So if I'm to clear screen now, we are now back in the global environment, and that's what you have to do. I hope this is helpful. If you do have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I want to thank you for your support. Hope to see you in our next tutorial. For now, I'm out. Bye-bye.